Let's talk about this with Congressman Dan Muser, who joins us, Republican from Pennsylvania, on Capitol Hill today. He's a member of what they call the House Problem Solvers Caucus. And I know that group just released its own compromise for relief aid that Chad was kind of referring to in his report, Congressman. So is this what saves us? Tell us a little bit about the bill, in particular if there's money for the state governments in there, which I know the Democrats have been pushing hard for.
Yeah, sure. I'll tell you, what Chad said is absolutely right. I agree. We keep offering opportunities to come to the table. The president does, the Senate does twice, the House does, the Republican leadership. Look, we're listening to our constituents back home, and I assume most Democrats do as well, but you wouldn't know it from what's happening, what's coming out of Speaker Pelosi's office. Yes, I am part of the Problem Solvers Caucus, and what we do is we've got 25 Republicans, we've got 25 Democrats. I'm a conservative Republican. And we did, however, come to an agreement. We came to some terms. Now, I don't agree with a good amount of what's in that proposal, but I agree with enough of it to advance it along and have others and we, as caucuses, work on a bill that serves the American people during the height of a crisis that we're dealing with here. You know, Nancy Pelosi, once again, and the leadership simply won't address the needs of the people. They're focused on the needs of their politics. And even Democrats are getting fed up.
But in the bill, you do have some state and local money, right? I mean, because that, again, that seems to be, if that was in there, I know a lot of Republicans don't want it in there, but if that was in there, that seems to be what the Democrats are pushing so hard for or holding out for. At least that's what they say.
It's in there. There's $400 billion in the Problem Solvers Caucus bill. And meanwhile, most states, even Pennsylvania, still have money from the previous CARES Act. So there's a tremendous amount. It's only $100 billion less than the HEROES Act. Now, I need to see, before I would vote for such a bill, where that's going. I hope a lot of it needs to be going to transportation infrastructure. But again, how close is that? And yet the Democrat leadership comes out and denounces the bill virtually hours after, not the bill, the proposal from the Problem Solvers Caucus.
Right.
So once again, just plain politics, unwillingness to negotiate, a real willingness to keep the issue alive and not solve the problem.
Yeah, this isn't going to get done, is it, Congressman? I mean, besides what you want to see happen, but you know how these things work. You're just talking about it. This doesn't look good, right?
The last 2 years has been very, very disappointing. Incredible amount of opportunity lost. The 116th Congress should be embarrassed at what wasn't accomplished. But any time it seems that, or 2 times anyway, that it's come down to it, and the people start demanding, and we see moderate, if you will, Democrats coming out and going up against the leadership. And we had 25 members of the Problem Solvers Caucus, 25 Democrats, that is, supportive of doing something, and it's in the 1.5 trillion range. We've gotten breakthroughs before, so I think we can deliver for the American people. The president wants to, the Republican leadership wants to. We need Nancy Pelosi to negotiate and do what's right in the interests of our economy, of our schools, of the rioting in the streets, and in finding remedies and vaccines for the virus. We can all agree on that.
And do you hear from Democrats a lot? I mean, your state is pretty split in Pennsylvania. You said you're a Republican, but you got a bunch of members of your delegation or Democrats. Do you guys get together and talk about it? And if so, what are they saying? Because that would get it done, right? If there's pressure from the moderate side of Speaker Pelosi's party, that would be what it would take, I would think.
Well, you would think, but once again, you had 25 members, Democrat members of the of Congress on the Problem Solvers Caucus that have signed off on a 1.5 trillion bill to deliver much aid for schools, stimulus checks for families, additional PPP for businesses, some vaccination funding, yes, some funding for states. Unemployment compensation. There's a lot in there. Yet again, the Democrat leadership came out and denounced it. Why? Why? Why do they want to keep this issue going rather than solve many problems for businesses that are suffering, people that are suffering, restaurants that are going under? The American people have got to speak out here and let them know they expect some action. Because we're speaking out all
There's
day
a lot
long.
of frustration, definitely, on both sides from the people, as you say. Congressman, we'll keep an eye on this. And
our president's
and see
willing
how it
to make
works
a
out. But
win-win compromise. All right, thank you.
Congressman Dan Muser from Pennsylvania on Capitol Hill. Thank you, sir. We appreciate it.